Welcome to the Marketing Mirror. As we take you on an adventure into social media with Sue Ann of Right Mix for Business and co-host Jamie Shine of Clearly Conveyed Communications. Sue Ann and Jamie invite you to share in all the latest as we find out if social media is broken, what to do about it, and how it changes your marketing today.
Sue Ann and Jamie will explore the latest in social media marketing and cover the topics you need to know.
Hello and welcome. You're watching The Marketing Mirror. I'm Sue Ann with Right Mix for Business, and with me today is my lovely, generous and sweet co-host, Jamie with Clearly Conveyed Communications. Thank you for checking out the show, whether you're here with us today live or whether you check us out on the replay. We are very grateful to have you. How are you today, James?
I am doing good. The weather's nice right now, at least. So, looking forward to a fun weekend and a good show.
Yeah, for sure. Oops. I'm trying to put up a window because the first thing I want to do, if I can get it up there, the first thing I want us to do is to do just a quick recap from our last show, because there's been a lot of movement going on in social media in an AI world, as we've been studying and learning about and trying to figure out, because we have to kick butt in this AI world. But today we're going to talk about content. When we get to it, just to give you an idea of what's coming, we're going to talk about content that creates recognition and trust and recurring audience interest, and it's supported by stronger formats rather than just your random posting for the win. But how do you do that? How do you tune in with us to uncover the latest working content models with examples? Well, stay tuned, because that's what we have coming up. But for now, I'm going to introduce to you a few items from our last show that is working. Jamie seems to be having some issues. Jamie, you can leave the studio and come back in if necessary, because I'm showing that you're having some issues. I'll continue to break some of this information that we wanted to mention at some point. So LinkedIn has made a lot of changes, and we find that, as we discussed in our LinkedIn episode a couple of weeks ago, that LinkedIn has changed, so you can't follow the old rules anymore. Really, that's the situation with all of these social media channels. So the platform has changed, but really the playbook has not, because we're looking at connecting with people and, using a network and networking to meet and connect with people. I'm going to hop back in the studio here. James, are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm showing an issue that you're having device problems, that your device is struggling. So that's why, sorry to interfere with what we're talking about here, but I wanted to mention that. So some of the things that we didn't talk about, but we should have, and we have talked about before when we're talking about LinkedIn, is the highest leverage single action that you can do. And this is looking at some notes too from my friend Linaire, who is a LinkedIn expert, that the single action she suggests that you can do, the highest leverage single action, is to look at your LinkedIn profile and to leverage the profile. Because the most common mistake she says that leaders make on LinkedIn is treating their profile sort of just as a mere CV. So, just showing credentials or roles or qualifications, and putting their strategic energy into their content, but not taking a strategic standpoint from your profile, from the perspective of your profile. And that's a mistake, she said. She said the algorithm also does not know which topic to file your posts under if you're not clear in what you set up as the foundation through your profile. She says everything's built on that. And I wanted to make sure to circle back and mention that since we didn't. What do you think, James?
Oh, absolutely. I take the time and effort to build a profile that shows who you are. Tell people what you're doing while you're there. Don't make people search and find things because they won't. You
And
have a few
yeah,
seconds to capture someone's attention. So when they come to your profile, they need to immediately know who you are and what you're doing.
and she's saying that if you're looking for AI to be able to interpret it, the single most important field in your profile is your headline. That's what's read first and is weighted most heavily when LinkedIn classifies, has their classification system of where you belong. And so that's why, again, this is a good reminder. So,
And that's another reason why you should not just put a title. I see so many people putting their titles as their headline on LinkedIn. There's so much more opportunity for your headline. It's important for people searching for you. So vice president of sales isn't really helpful.
I think I need an update on mine, actually. I just updated my Twitter one, but also the about section is another place where you can build your narrative authority. Is how she labels it. You build your narrative authority, which I really like. And then she said that the experience section is where most profiles lose it an opportunity completely because they just list roles and responsibilities, which tells a stranger very little about the level at which you operate, she says. And what builds authority is the story of what you built, what changed because of your involvement, or what that required you that no one else could deliver. So she says kind of try to overcome titles and dig deeper into, changing showing what you did to move the needle, I guess, sort of is how I'm reading this.
Yes.
And are you using your featured section? For the longest time I didn't even know to use my featured section.
Yes, I think that's a pretty big section today. I think people look at that. You can do so much with that. I was actually just updating mine and a client's yesterday. So take the time to see what you are showcasing to people visiting your profile.
I really love that she breaks it down to this. Content, she says, is a three-part system. Look, so your content isn't the whole game. She says it this way. The old model assumed that good content posted consistently would build visibility, which is some of our assumption too in today's topic. But she said that assumption was largely correct when LinkedIn was a relationship graph and when reach was driven by connection networks. But it's not that way anymore, right? It's in the current environment, content's only one part of a three-part system. The other parts are that your authority is now built through the combination of profile positioning, the content and the voice of your content, and participation and engagement on the platform. And we have talked before about how important comment content marketing can be, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not again about how often should I post, but it's more like what should I be known for? And does everything I publish reinforce that? And that gives a compounding logic and a sequence, which really ties into what we're talking about today. But I just wanted to bring that up as one note from last week's topic. Another note is that there's been some layoffs at LinkedIn. And we also talked about the changing, the interesting juxtaposition that LinkedIn is taking concerning taking some kind of control on AI content, when in fact the platform, itself works through AI content. And not only that, good to see Lisa here. Thank you, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
but it's interesting because they're kind of talking on both sides of the coin, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. What do you think?
Yeah, I know I mentioned, I think that was last week. When you're talking about targeting or labeling AI content, who decides what that is? Is it entirely AI generated? Is it human created content where you're using an AI tool to enhance it? Or, I mean, are we talking about putting filters on pictures now? What are we doing here? Like there's a lot that you have to make these decisions before you roll something like this out.
Well, speaking of Lisa, I want to show you I want to show you something also that came. This is transitioning a little bit um, into days into Twitter, talking about Twitter a little bit here. But we had said last week when we were talking to Lisa about Pinterest that Twitter. Are we seeing that, guys?
Yep.
Lisa shared this with me like the day after our show, and what it's showing us is that Twitter is in fact allowing you to share links. It's no longer deboosting when you share a direct link, which is so important because we as
Yeah.
content creators and writers and creators, we want to share our stuff and we want to share our knowledge. Like me writing a post and saying in so many characters and words what I'm learning or what I want to share with people. I could do it so much better if I show you some of my content, if I show you an article that gives you links so that you can dig deeper, all the things that you can get out of it that are actually better than just giving a little teeny synopsis of a thought, and because you're following the platform's guidelines, right? To
Right.
do what you're told and only write and not share. So I like that Twitter's catching up with that. But I also want to give you another note about Twitter, and this is from a guy that I follow because he's into ghostwriting and corporate ghostwriting, and this is to address the question of Twitter versus LinkedIn, because we did tell everybody LinkedIn that Jamie is saying LinkedIn is the platform to watch this year. And here's
Yep.
something to back that. Nicholas Cole, who's a kind of big time ghostwriter, again, that's why I follow him, he posted on Twitter again. I found this. Well, this post was June 1st. That's how fresh it is, guys. So he said that also. So his post reads like this: all social platforms go through phases, and in 2021, anyone writing X threads went obscenely viral. So X also powered for his business 99% of their multi-million dollar business. But in 2026, X now drives, and I know Lisa will be extremely interested in this. X now drives less than 20% of leads and engagement and reach.
Yeah.
And that's only a fraction of what it used to be. And now
Mhm.
guess what's driving more leads and way more reach? Yes, you guessed it, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yep. Everything ebbs and flows. And we are in the era of LinkedIn.
It turns out we're in the era of LinkedIn. Oh my goodness. So luckily we're up on that topic too around here. Let's see if there was anything else. Oh, Ahrefs. We've been talking about how LinkedIn gains you search juice, right?
Yeah.
And it's gaining you AI search juice. So I thought that this information from, of all people we love, Ahrefs and Tim Solo, who I met years ago, or I guess became connected with years ago, is one of the top guys there over at Ahrefs. But they analyzed, and this is one of the reasons we like to talk about their data points. They analyzed 1 billion data points across 14 studies to find out what they learned about AI search optimization. And here's what's funny: just like in the olden days, the best X or blog best X, the best of the best whatever, blog listicles are the single most prominent content format cited by AI chatbots. I can't believe it because this is like I'm back in the beginning.
Right. Everything that goes out of fashion comes back in again.
They say that those best of blog type listicles in your content make up 43.8% of all page types cited by ChatGPT specifically. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
67% of their top 1,000 citations from GPT come from sources that marketers can or can't, they say can't influence, but I mean, some people might argue that, like Ann Smarty, who works a lot with Reddit, which is one of those sources. But they name that Wikipedia is mentioned a lot. They get 30 almost 30% reference from Wikipedia, which, I even question Wikipedia as being a good, reliable source these
Yeah,
days, but
that's kind
they're
of scary.
pulling Chat GPT pulls from there, so beware or just make note. Home pages are getting pulled. So really you want to optimize your home page. That is getting pulled by GPT 23, almost 24, 23.8, 24% of their citations. And those are the two leading. Everything else is sort of behind there. But what it's telling you, according to them, is that only 32 or 33% of your content that are influenceable are like educational pages, reviews, news, and blog posts. The most cited pages on GPT have zero Google organic visibility. Now, that's a shift that we need to pay attention to. So, if we're still optimizing for Google organic visibility, thinking that that is a way to jump into ChatGPT's citation, it is not, according to this information from our treasured source, Ahref. That's a little bit surprising, right?
Yeah, I mean, the shift has already been made,
And here's
especially
another thing.
since
Did
Google
you
went to
know?
AI search.
Yeah, AI search, the shift. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Because what I was going to say on top of that is that ChatGPT only cites 50% of the URLs it retrieves. So yeah, it's fetching, it's looking, it's going through all of this, but it's not necessarily going to bring up the URLs, even if yours is one of those URLs that it's using to heist the content. So it uses half as background context without attribution. So that means that being retrieved and being cited are different things. So you might be actually being looked at and used, but you might not make it to the citation level, is what that tells me, which is distressing but interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and then the
unfortunate.
schema markup that everybody's been talking about, they said that that doesn't actually, they're showing that people doing that extra markup, I've seen it like LLM markup on the back of their sites, that's actually in fact causing dips in getting noticed rather than increasing it. So you can't believe everything you see and read on the internet when it comes down to these analyzed facts. Um, let's see. YouTube mentions, which we've been talking about too, the power of YouTube and the power of YouTube as a channel and where it stands today, fighting the likes of Netflix. But YouTube mentions have the highest correlation with AI brand visibility out of all the factors that they studied, including conventional SEO metrics like backlinks, page counts, all that stuff. This held true for both Google owned and OpenAI products. So your YouTube is high on your to do for types of content this year, just like Jamie and I predicted, 6 weeks or so ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
AI overviews reduce clicks to the number one result by 58%. And this has grown in the past 10 months by almost 35%, meaning the trend is accelerating. And we know the reason, because the overviews are giving you the answer without you having to take the click,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So this is all interesting, maybe some of it's scary. I can give you guys links for some of this stuff in the content after the show, or even some of it in the share here. But it's interesting. There's a couple other stats, but I don't want to take much more time on that because we have a lot to cover today on the show. Lisa says hers has gone down, but she doesn't get anything from LinkedIn. That's interesting. So her are you talking about your AI mentions, Lisa, your AI citations? And she's saying she doesn't get anything from LinkedIn. Here's one thing I want to say at this point, you guys. So I've been hearing a lot of things about people saying, where content's driven from. One statistic I heard recently was that if you're using shorts to promote your long form or your channel, that doesn't work. But when I look at my own stats in YouTube, guess where most of my views for my long form videos are coming from? Right now, they're being directed from shorts as the number one source. So that goes completely against, this general rule that we just heard about. So I urge you to look at your stuff in particular, your industry, your business, and your data when you're making some of these decisions based on, rule of thumb. So I want to say that for sure for you guys. Let's see. Did I have anything else? Did we have anything else that we had to cover from last week?
I hope
Jane?
not, because we're pushing. We're gonna use half the show on last week.
Oh gosh, last week's weeks. It turns out to be weeks of things. Okay, let's get
Yeah.
into today's topic right now. Without further ado, because it is so good, you guys. I think you're going to love it. I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. Except I'm always on the last page instead of the first page. Okay, I could get us back to here. Okay. So we're talking about interest driving content, what and how. So I'm going to start by giving you a quick little introduction, which means I have to stop sharing. I'm such a dork. I'll get this studio corrected sooner or later. But I'm going to give you a little intro. I pre-recorded this because I wanted to say this properly, and I get discombobulated when I'm working the production and we're live. So here's just a couple minute clip to open this topic. It's not our fault. It's what we learned, understood, and were trained with in the digital content space. We were told, as a business owner, marketer, or content creator of any kind, that the winning content model is based on showing up consistently, providing value, staying visible, and just keeping the content creation machine roaring along. But things are changing. That model made sense in an environment where content was harder to produce, less abundant, and attention was easier to interrupt. But we are not in that environment anymore. In the era of AI, content creation is faster, easier, and absolutely more abundant. It's not enough to stop the scroll because now our content has to go deeper, much deeper. Remember, you're not just fighting content volume. You also need to be aware of content sameness. Your unique and pointedly human perspective and experience matter. The strongest signal for today's content model isn't how to create more content. Instead, it's about finding the gap between visibility and genuine audience pull. Here's the thing. AI makes content easier to produce, but also easier to ignore. Content works when it creates interest by connecting useful ideas to real human tension, curiosity, relevance, and recognition. It's time to reimagine our content, how we create it, and what we create. Because more content does not automatically create more interest. Helpful is not the same as interesting. Attention, easy to chase, but interest, harder to earn. AI can help create content, but human signals create care. In a content overloaded world, the winning question is no longer just, what do I post? But it's what would matter to someone right now. Organic content has to do more than exist. It has to create a reason to keep people paying attention. Visibility may get someone to see you once, but interest gives them a reason to come back. The future of content is not just production efficiency. It is interest-driving content creation. So let's tackle just that today on the Marketing Mirror. Thanks for being here. There we have it. There we have it. So I pre-recorded that opening to lay the foundation for what we want to build on today with you live. Are you guys hearing me? Because I don't see me on screen. Yeah, I'm still here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still here. Okay. So because I don't want to have jumbling and messing up, I did want to pre-record that. I think this topic is super important, and I'm so happy you're checking it out with Jamie and me as we take a much deeper look into how to make interest-driving content come to life on organic social media. Remember, we want to make that ad spend weep a little, and that's what we're all about. So we also, and importantly, remember that we talked about Neil Patel's take on how organic social media done correctly paves the way for stronger ad sales through increased brand recognition, reach, and love. It also helps you build that community so that when you're targeting ads, you have something to work with. So it's really going to do a lot beyond just being a visibility thing when it comes to organic content. There's a lot deeper that it's going to go. So let's talk about some of the content models to help you grow that love and organically reach that increased visibility. Social media, I'm going to tell you, will indeed play a significant role here. So we're going to be looking at the new content mode to boost brand building, and I'll go ahead and share the slides now, maybe. That's the hope. And there we have it. So let me see, James, I have to shift the slide, so give me a sec. Okay, it's not about more content because everyone's doing it. It's about finding that genuine audience pull. How do you reach the point where you hit the gap, where you're not just visible, but you're genuinely having a pull on your audience? Attraction marketing, you might call it. Because guess what, you guys? AI makes content easier to produce, but it also makes it easier to ignore. So these new content models that we're talking about are going to often work without even mentioning your product or service. They're building your brand, boosting your brand building underneath. So instead, we're going to be looking at interest driven or driving interest by this content with a following built in an ongoing way so that you're creating anticipation for what's coming next. You want to take this for a minute, James?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked before about creating series or even a show with episodes so that you can set up an overall structure. You can pull people in, but you know where you're going next. And that's a great thing that a series does for you, is it's not just one-off content. You can create full storylines. You can entertain people. I do think it needs to tie in to your product or service, or it doesn't make a lot of sense for your company or your brand to do it. But it's not that you're showing products or creating a commercial. It's something related to your product or service that you can create characters and storylines around.
I think of it as public relations, which is sort of like how I see content marketing, because it's about delivering a lot of value in and around your topic without really like hard promoting yourself. So I see that sort of is the same driver here. So we're talking about whatever your product is, but we're not pushing that product to the front of the topic. We're kind of answering questions around it. But we're also building interest by doing this series approach by those things like those hooks, those open loops. And open loops are a little different than unanswered questions, although they can be similar. Plot twists are a great way. They're like that Easter egg or that surprise, and that people want to come back and see what are they going to come up with next, right? And I think character attraction, Jamie, I feel like that happens in different ways. So sometimes you get attracted to a character, it's kind of a love relationship. Sometimes it's a hate relationship. You go back more to watch because you have the villain or the character you love to hate. Sometimes you have a character that's endearing or makes you laugh and that you want to see what shenanigans they're going to be up to. So your series, saga, soap opera, uh, um, novella, whatever you want it to be, is something that's going to just keep pulling people along. That's what we're after. Here's a great example. We both love this example, and I think you guys will too. I'm not sure. This is weird because this is not a brand new campaign, but it came up. I saw it and immediately thought, oh my gosh, this is definitely interest driving content, and it's so staggering what all this campaign does. On the outside, it's pretty simple. It's Nike and Spotify collaborating, and it's called the Make Moves campaign. The campaign is simple yet very powerful. It encourages young girls like preteen to move, to get physical, and to use just one song a day to do that, to make themselves jump in and join in with something physical, dancing along, dancing like no one's watching. And the idea is to boost mental well being and confidence and the power of music to make it all go.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. It's addressing a social issue. Teenage girls specifically, but kids in general today are not getting enough movement at all. I've seen this when I'm out and about in the world. And what a great way to approach it. Instead of lecturing them, make it fun. Invite them to join in, to have fun, get out there, do something that requires getting up off the couch or moving, and power it with music. Music is so powerful. I think it's underutilized in marketing in general, but don't be afraid to add a playlist or to use music in your next campaign.
I
And
think
this,
it's interesting about a music because music is I think it's a mood. I think music is good for mental health.
yes, 100%, absolutely. It can really change your mood short term. It's such a powerful thing. People love listening to music, but this campaign did so many things right. I love the collaboration aspect of it. Who can you collaborate with? Who can you partner with to produce a campaign for a specific cause? It doesn't have to be a similar company. You'd be surprised how different brands can work together to achieve the same goals.
I love that it was athletes along with um, artists who
Yeah.
they tapped to choose the songs that made the playlist. So it wasn't just like a corporate decision. Here's the playlist, girls, for this campaign. No, they brought real women and women from what might be considered, in a way, opposing perspectives, the artists and the athletes, one sitting at this table, one over there in that corner. But we're bringing them together. and we're saying, you know, the art of music along with the physicality. And even if you're an artist or a creator, you got to get off the chair and out into the world and be physically, your body needs that, your mind needs that, and you know, get into the movement, the invitation into the, like, move with us, not just watch us, right?
Yes.
And this was a worldwide campaign, which I think is really cool because it is a real emotionally charged problem with girls dropping out of sports and feeling that they're, you know, struggling with confidence and not being as active as they should be. There's also, you know, that participatory thing, and that like, we can all do this, that you're becoming part of a movement if you're a girl that joins in. And I like that it's built from organic channels first, like TikTok and Reels and Spotify. I like that the creators of the list were actually women, you know, females, and they were from these two worlds that should collide for a stronger person, you know, have both. Um, and the interest trigger that they provided was the one song a day. So the one song a day was highlighted. So everyone just had to jump on that song today and jump in. And of course, it generated user generated content galore because people were having fun with it. It was a challenge. It gave creator content, and it used playlist, which is something, you know, that we want to do. So Nike has a business or brand upside in that it deepens relevance with young girls and their parents. That, you know, Nike is part of, you know, development too, because your physicality is important. And Spotify connects music to well-being and daily routines, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned it's a worldwide campaign, but they started out with a pilot in the UK, a
Right.
limited pilot to test it. And that's another great takeaway from this campaign. Start with the resources that you have. You can always continue to build the campaign and roll it out to a larger audience, but it's okay to start small and to make sure that you have everything in order and that it's functioning the way you want it to before you roll it out to a larger audience. So
At the
start,
last minute, I found a link that I can put in to show you guys some of the girls doing their thing. It was really cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and the other thing they did, right, they did partner with different influencers or well-known athletes and artists, but they made good choices. Don't just go for the, this is why some people struggle with influencer marketing. Don't just go for the biggest name. Make sure they're the right fit. They're the best fit for your specific campaign. They worked with people, athletes and artists who were really into their whole reason behind this campaign. It struck a nerve with them. They wanted to participate and really help with mental health awareness and increasing mental health in teenage girls. So they made the right moves instead of just reaching out to the most popular people.
It's a higher level mission at that point. It would
Yes.
be, you know, a mission outside of ourself, which is a higher level mission, which is a really good driver. It's used in gamification, in fact. but
Yeah.
but here's the question to our viewers today. So, what would your make moves series look like for your niche? What's one small daily action or challenge that you could put together that could kind of, like, you know, use this campaign as a stepping stone to creating something like it? Here's an example. This is just off the top of my head because we're flying along here. But, like, okay, so if you're a writer, you could do a word nerd puzzle kind of daily tip of the day with grammar or spelling or something about writing technique. You know, when to use adverbs, whatever. But it could be something that, and if you did it in some groovy way or had some kind of character, that might intensify, you know, the interest in it. If you drop really strong, fun, you know, tips, that might be one way. But what we want you to do is think about how you can yourself or in collaboration with a related company like Nike and Spotify have done here, what can be your power to make moves campaign in your
Well,
world?
and based off of this campaign, another thing you could do, a lot of people struggle to get their creative juices flowing because they're buried in the day to day of either running their business or living life. Do a free write every day. Encourage people to write even for 10 to 15 minutes a day and see what comes out of that. You'll be shocked at what ideas flow out of that. I had a class in college. We did a free write at the beginning of every class, and it was so powerful just to get people thinking, get your brain moving, and see where it goes.
I love that. I notice there's a lot of people doing kind of like live workshops where everybody's kind of working and sometimes they're not even talking, but they're having the camaraderie of like-minded souls
Yes.
working on like-minded projects. It's something that we kind of do with how we even present the show, where we're sharing information and knowledge among ourselves, our colleagues, our clients, and potentially other people that are interested in these topics, because that's how we learn and grow, is working within that community. Like there's so many things, like I already showed stuff that Lisa shared, since she collaborated with us last week, but that's something that came up on a different subject altogether. And you might call one of your colleagues if you have a question on something that you haven't done before. There's just so many ways that you can work with somebody else, and it develops out into cool campaigns and cool series, like what we're doing here even. Another series that I want to mention that shows how to do interest driving content is my friend's series called Ham Radio Gizmos. It's an innovative podcast. What makes it really unique is it is character based with these two fellows here, Gus and Guy Wire, who are really endearing. They're funny. One's grumpy, as you might be able to tell, and one's not so grumpy. But they are education packed. They're completely clear on who they serve. They're for ham radio people, but actually, a lot of the draw, I think, and the endearing, and the clients and the viewers of this show actually don't have to even be hams, because there's a lot of history baked into the show, which is storytelling. And there's humor because these guys are bickering. One of them's, catching the garage on fire because he wired it wrong. And how do we wire it right? And they go back and forth, but they're teaching people how to do things and what transmitter works, and what pole. I can't even
It's
think of
a,
it.
it sounds like a great way to liven up a lot of technical information. So they
Well,
found
and
a
then they
way
have
to,
this Ariel character, and she
yeah.
comes in from like above, and she's very future world, almost robotic, but also like ethereal. And she gives the like technology, like she gives the facts. So they even
Mhm.
have this extraterrestrial person, Ariel, who comes in, and she's the computer that settles the argument and gives the facts, which is another way that initiates, the educational perspective, but brings in another fun character. It's uniquely designed. There's a really cool content mix. Go watch my recent video, guys, AI human collaboration, and you'll get a taste of what these two sound and look like. They're
I love
very
that they
cool.
look like little gnomes.
Lee's helped me. Lee is actually who helped me create Marketing Millie. Kind of gave me Marketing Millie to work from. So he's
Nice.
awesome. We have another friend of the show that we want to showcase. Stephanie Garcia recently did an article for Entrepreneur, and what fit so well into this show that we were planning and her publish of this article is that she has a case study where she shows how you can skyrocket, literally skyrocket, organic social by moving social to a live arena. So it's fast moving, it's in real time blossoming the campaign because it's happening in real time at an event. It's magnified to the extreme via organic social media strategy, and it's fun, and it encourages interactive and touch based, human to human contact, as well as firing it up and pushing it out to all levels in a personal to digital to omni-channel level. There's cross promotion galore, there's sales, there's leads, there's pipelines. James, tell us all about that case study.
And this is so much fun because people like to participate. So instead of just coming in, grabbing a giveaway, which often has very little thought put into it, or kind of cruising by your booth, you can come in and shoot a video. You know, they actually had a content booth where you could film with them, or you could even just, I find people just saying, oh God, I can't do that, and not even just walking away from stuff. You know, you can, I've been a part of stuff before where you can take pictures at an event and share them to your social platforms, give people ways to participate and ways to share the message and share your message and advocate for your brand. But this is such a fun thing that they did specifically. You could walk into their booth, or really to their content studio, let's call it what it was, and film with them and walk away with a professionally produced video that they could in turn use in their marketing efforts. So we've taken the get an updated headshot. You see that a lot at shows. Come to our booth and get an updated, you know, professional headshot to a whole nother level. Now you can walk away with actual video content. And this is another thing you saw at Cannes as well. Meta, for instance, had actual people there to help you create professional content that you could in turn use in your social channels. So of course that was a popular space that you could walk into and walk out with very creative professional content. But going back to this case study specifically, that's a big deal, that you can not only go in and learn more about what they do and interact with their team and their brand, but that you can walk away with professionally produced video content. You know, everyone who does video, we all do video ourselves. It takes an extra level of effort, which is why a lot of people shy away from it. So to be able to walk away with video content that you can use on your social media channels, that you can use in ads or in decks where you're presenting pitches to clients and prospective clients or investors, that you can use on your website to enhance your either pages about your products and services, your welcome, your about us. You can really whether you want to do so that what they did specifically, you could choose what your video was about. So you could share your founder story, which is a powerful thing for social and for your about us page. You could sit down for an interview and talk about your brand or your business. You could produce like a UGC style product demo that you can in turn share on your social channels or a product page on your website, or to even share in meetings with clients. You
How
could do a
about the
live.
camaraderie that is built with even the hashtag flying around during the live event?
Yes,
How many people
absolutely.
are these people gaining, interacting on social from there? That's
Yeah,
another aspect.
because that's custom hashtags during events are still a big thing. So you have a lot of people, both who are attending the event and who aren't attending the event, searching that hashtag, trying to be a part of what's happening. So your brand can be a part, can jump in to that hashtag and to the traffic that it's generating and become a part of that. So that's exciting. I like the live taste test. You know, we've talked about cooking and food and tastings are a big deal. So it's the ultimate participatory thing. So you could actually do a live taste test.
That'll take us to our next topic perfectly. Should I switch
Yeah, go ahead.
right into it? So our next technique, besides the series, which already kind of introduced some character-led content, and I love the best part of everything that you just said is that the concept of creating a live studio, and we're talking a live studio that, like you said, that's a working studio beyond what you could do while you're wandering the event on your own, to bring you really into it and make it professional and cool, and the chance to do interviews or share product information or just share the experience that you're there. All these things add up to a really big deal. And Stephanie, we love you. But moving on, create character led content is our next way to drive interest. And this is expressed through a personality for your content or your media to connect with people and hopefully drawing them back again and again. And we have a few examples that you guys know. We have our favorite writer, one of our favorite writers, Hennika from Enchanting Marketing. Her sidekick, Henrietta, which is her hand drawn character, is her blog mascot and alter ego. And people expect and want and love to see Henrietta. And I have a Henrietta she sent me personally here, actually. And
Oh,
let us
nice.
look at.
I
Yeah.
love Henrietta.
Anyway, don't you associate Hennika and Henrietta immediately?
Yes, absolutely. They're tied
And this
together.
is written in blog content. This is not even getting into multimedia. Well, I guess it is multimedia because she's doing hand drawing.
I love that she loves to draw and sketch, and she found a way to incorporate that into her writing business.
She actually was like learning to draw and came into drawing Henrietta out of
Yeah,
it. So
that's funny.
it was kind of like an ongoing study that developed that, as readers that go way back with her know, the development of Henrietta. And,
Mhm.
you know, I just think it's such a great concept. And Henrietta's sayings have turned into posters and mugs. I call her drawings instead of infographics. I call them info drawings. Her and I laugh info drawings. I still admire. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but Hennika, we still love you. Stella. Stella is our friend Lisa's sidekick.
She's a rock
So
star.
Stella's rocking it. She's practically got her own following now. But there's a beautiful case where Lisa's developing a mascot who is her pet, and who doesn't love our pets, our dogs, our cats, our pals. So we have Lisa with Stella, and we have Marketing Millie here at the Marketing Mirror. But you know who else could be a character is your CEO. So what we're looking at, the campaign power here is your personality, the voice, the attitude, the unique perspective, things like that. And these characters may be real or imagined. They drive the story. Sometimes they become the story with a natural emotional impact, like Stella or Henrietta. They're part of the story now. They have a natural emotional impact. There's a strop the scroll situation that you sometimes get when you present a cool character that catches on. There's curiosity baking that's happening with everything going on with characters. And there's all kinds of escapades and that empathy factor also in there. But
And
when we look at CEOs, who came to mind?
Gary V.
Yep, that's the guy. So I said to Jamie when we were planning this, I said, I put in there in the CEO, but the first guy that came to mind as a character driving a brand is Gary V. And then the very next day, or no, later that same day, I go to my X feed, and what do I see in today's news? Trending in today's news. Everything this guy says is news. Now, that's a character driving a brand, in my opinion. So, Gary V calls storytelling business's most underrated skill. And if you want to check out the video that we did about your brain on story, because it talks about the biological impact that story has on your brain and why it becomes sticky and memorable when you use story and storytelling in your work. Take it away, James. Tell us more about the guy.
Well, and even before Gary V, this is another, we're talking about characters. If you don't have a cool pet like Stella, or you don't want to use yourself or a version of yourself, this is where you can utilize AI to create a character for your business or your brand. So get creative, and this is where you can use that to help you create someone. Now, if you have a strong and engaging personality, it doesn't even need to be your CEO. It can be just someone in your company, like a Gary Vee. They're impossible not to watch. So run with that, build the character. I'm going to call him a character, even though obviously he's a person, but
Right.
he's hard to look away from. So he shares a great message. People really like to hear him speak and hear his thoughts on things. That's why he's constantly in the media. So every time you see him, I've watched a number of his speaking engagements, interviews. Everyone wants to know what he thinks about subjects in his wheelhouse. The other reason that that's the case is not only is he very on top of what's happening in his area, in his arena, but he has an opinion on things. He's not afraid to share his opinion. He's not mean about it. He has an opinion on things. He takes a point of view. And that's something that people want. And I think that's part of the reason he is invited to appear so many times and why he's featured in a lot of media.
What's funny is I wasn't a big Gary Vee fan when I first ran into him a dozen years ago. Wasn't really into it. He was pretty hardcore on the hustle and all that stuff. But you still couldn't help but notice his core messaging. You got his message whether you were really paying attention to following him or following his content or looking into it. Now, what we're trying to do is attract people to want to watch our content. He is so good, he doesn't have to attract them. It gets out to them because it's so widely spread. It's so on fire organically through social, just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done a heck of a job. I wasn't a huge
And
fan
oh, I did
initially
put
either.
real on here, James. I put real or created character. So I didn't include that your character could be real.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you have a big personality in your company, whether it's the CEO or not, run with it. That people, that draw people to themselves. So,
And in advertising, there's all kinds of characters that we could look to or remember. There's the Geico, the lizard. There's, you know,
Chester, the Cheetos
right.
cat, he's a cool cat.
There's so many.
Yes.
Even if you go back, well, maybe I shouldn't say this because it makes me really old, but there was a character for Wendy's for a while with the "Where's the beef lady?" I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
and some of these characters, even though like that one's older, but it's still stuck there somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, they're memorable. Mr. Peanut, they ran a whole,
Yeah, Mr. Peanut,
God,
that's a
look
good
how
one.
long he's been around. It's incredible. So, yeah,
Here's
absolutely.
another example that I threw in here that this girl is building a brand for herself with the Nerve. That's Maureen Callahan. She's also part of the MK Network brand, which is Megan Kelly. So she's quietly in her little corner, which is kind of a cultural police position that she takes in her content. Um, and she keeps up this schedule. She's only a little over a year old, but I think she is a character leading this brand building. But she does a great job with things like creating buy-in because people want to come back. They can't wait for the next show. She's dropping juicy gossip about stars and about the royal American royal family of the Kennedys. She wrote a book called Ask Not. And what's interesting is what drew me to her is that she is very much a journalist. She very much vets her sources and goes deep on her sources that she brings to the table. And she does a great job stirring anticipation for that next show. She has people that have become her community that's grown. I mean, she's grown in a little over a year. Her channel's huge, but it's because it's fun. It's funny. It's a little bit feisty because she does give her opinion. Although, again, she's very journalistic in sourcing things. She also is very entertaining. She's funny. She brings in one of her regular guests is a guy named Rob Shooter. He just wrote a book called It Started with a Whisper, which he's a gossip columnist, writer, former spin doctor and PR person and publicist for big names that you guys all know. And he has a lot of inside scoops. But I love the fact that, you know, she's the cultural police calling some of these big stars out for their bad behavior or for things they've brushed under the rug or for worshiping a family like royalty, like the Kennedys, who she kind of makes more like the Jerry Springer family with all the deeds they've done over the years. So she's fun, she's entertaining, and she also has that dog sidekick, which makes it kind of fun and entertaining too. So another character driven, but also series hook. You know, she reads her community, sends her stuff, so there's a lot of user generated content she incorporates in. People make memes of things that she says or things off of her Instagram or different things. She's built really a great audience. She reads their comments, she answers people, she does topics that people request. So it's very much interactive. And I think that's also why she's growing so quickly and so well. I enjoy watching. It's a guilty sin to laugh and listen when you need to clear your head and not be working.
Well, that's a great place to cut off for today. We are out of time, so we can move on into, we could make this a two-part series.
Let's see what's next. Yeah, we have another case that we
will.
want to build out for you live.
Yeah,
So we're
absolutely.
going to show you where Neil Patel took it, working from an SEIEO, I call it SEIO, and from an SEIO perspective. And then from there, we'll take it further and build out something that could be a hybrid of some of these formats and, you know, take that into a higher level for organic social that's going to build all those things that we talked about before.
All right, well, this will give you a chance to chew on everything we have talked about this week and digest it a little bit so we can come back next week. And if you have any questions, bring them.
Sounds great, James. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for checking in and listening or catching the replay. Please give us your feedback, leave us your questions, add your 2 cents to any of the topics, and thank you for checking out the Marketing Mirror. We surely do appreciate it.
See you next week.
Oh, I got to stop this to do our outro. I'm sorry, guys. Little awkward as always, but that's okay. Thank you for checking out the Marketing Mirror with your host, Sue Ann from Right Mix for Business and your co-host, Jamie Shine of Clearly Conveyed Communications. Brought to you by Right Mix for Business and Electrocast Media. Thank you.
Electrocast.